It's heartbreak for fans of Roger Federer, and Kayode will be telling us why on Sports News.
Good evening and welcome to Sports News. Stefano Tsitsipas has earned the biggest win of his career after defeating six-time champion Roger Federer 6-3 and 6-4 to reach the championship match of the ATP Finals in London. Tsitsipas, like he did when he beat the Swiss at this year's Australian Open, took advantage of small unforced errors from Federer to triumph after 1 hour and 36 minutes. Tsitsipas saved 2 break points and needed 7 set points to close out the opening set 6-3 after 44 minutes. The 21-year-old rallied to save an additional 3 break points to take a commanding lead in the second set. He becomes the first and youngest Greek to ever qualify for the final of the event. And former world number 4 and Wimbledon runner-up Thomas Berdych has announced his retirement from tennis. The Czech, who won 13 ATP singles titles in a 17-year-long career, was a fixture in the world's top 10 between 2010 and 2016. Berdych's one Grand Slam final came in 2010 when he was beaten by Rafael Nadal at the All England Club. He was part of the Czech Republic team that won back-to-back Davis Cup titles in 2012 and 2013. The 34-year-old, who has not played since losing the first round of the US Open in August, announced his decision at the ATP Finals today. And back in Nigeria, the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, has announced that Nigeria football will be reorganized. This followed the failure of Nigeria to qualify for the men's football event of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics after crashing out of the CAF Under-23 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. The CAF Under-23 Africa Cup of Nations serves as qualifying tournament for next year's Olympic Games. The minister on his Twitter handle said prevailing outcomes offer an opportunity to review, re-strategize and develop a long-term plan for football development. He also added that Nigeria needs to return to grassroots development, pristine administration and sound technical development. That will be all on Sports News tonight. Many thanks for watching. Back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Kayode. At least 2 people have been killed in protests that have erupted across Iran after the government unexpectedly announced the rationing of petrol and a price hike of at least 50%. Authorities say they reduced subsidies in order to free up money to help the poor and low-income households. Iran is already suffering economically due to stiff sanctions imposed by the United States after Washington decided to pull out of the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. Sri Lankans head to the polls to choose their new leader 7 months after a devastating Easter terror attack last year. A total of 35 candidates are vying for votes in the presidential election, the third since the end of the country's decades-long civil war in 2009. But the current president is not on the ballot. He decided against running after coming under fire following the Easter Sunday bombings that left at least 253 people dead.
Sri Lankans trickle into polling centers as polls open to choose a new president for the South Asian nation, 7 months after a terror attack that shook the world. 2 men are in the forefront of the presidential race. A former Defense Secretary, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who vows to overhaul national security, playing on the fears of the majority Sinhalese Buddhists following the April Easter attacks claimed by the Islamic State that killed more than 250 people. And the country's housing minister, Sajid Premadasa, who promises free housing and school uniforms for students. Current and former leaders were also at various voting booths to cast their votes, including President Mairipala Sirisena, who is not seeking re-election. Meanwhile, a group of unidentified men are reported to have opened fire on buses carrying voters to a polling station in the central region, although there were no injuries. About 16 million people are eligible to vote, with the ballot allowing voters to choose up to 3 candidates in order of preference. However, results are not expected before Sunday.
And the main news again. Voters in Kogi and Bayelsa states turned up today in their numbers to choose their governors for the next 4 years amid pockets of violence in some polling units. Stay with Channels Television for all the updates. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami.